Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
Hi everybody, my name is Jasmine Leyva and I'm the director of The Invisible Vegan. So that's something that was just always in me. Ever since I was young, I was starring in school plays. I was putting together my own plays. Then I went to college for TV and film. After that, got jobs in production. And then finally, I hit a point where I wanted to write and I wanted to produce. And I went to the executive producer on the show that I was working on, and I told him about my ambitions. And he was just kind of like, well, hold on, that's a big thing. And then that's when it hit me, like, I cannot keep waiting for someone else to give me the go to pursue my own passion. I have to use the resources at my disposal and make it happen. And that's how you got Invisible Eating. I was young. Actresses I liked. I really liked Ginger Rogers. My mom would have me watching AMC. I really loved Julia Roberts. She would have me watching Steel Magnolias. And I think my mother was a big encouragement throughout the way, because I can always remember, no matter if it was a play or anything, I would always look in the audience and there I would see my mother with her video camera. And even though I pretended to hate those moments, it was the eye roll, like, here's my mom. Underneath that layer of trying to be cool was that, oh, look, I'm doing stuff to make my mom take off work and come see me and make her proud. Before I worked on Invisible Vegan, I had a background in TV production already. And I was blessed to be able to kind of work on some projects that really kind of resonated with me. So positive projects. I worked on My Black is Beautiful, which was about, Black women kind of embracing the skin that they're in. I worked on a musical documentary series called Unsung that kind of shows respect for artists who created amazing, strides in the music field, but didn't get the recognition that they deserved. And then while I was doing that, I was also doing commercials as an actress. Because one of my producers that I worked with, she was just like, hey, Jazz, just a heads up, you're kind of cute. Maybe you should monetize that cuteness and try to do commercials and acting. And since I already had a background in acting, and since I actually loved acting, I was just like, yeah, I should just try to do work both sides of the camera. So I did commercials for, Nissan, Black People Meet. I was featured in Amex, Apple, Uber, so a lot of top brands. So I have experience on both sides. If I had to choose between acting and directing, I want to say I would pick directing, because I'm really big on legacy, and the kind of legacy I want to leave when I pass. And I think when you do a great job as an actor, it's almost like you helped bring someone else's vision to life. When you're the director, it's like, this was my vision. And if I want, I could put myself in my vision. So I would go with director. My favorite part of directing is making the people on set happy. Because when you're a director, a lot of people mistake the director as the person who's actually executing everything. And the director doesn't execute anything. Like the director, I don't tape everything with the camera. I don't edit everything. There are other people doing that. And a part of being a director is having a team of people and kind of just making sure like that team feels supported and kind of giving them clear direction so they can create something that they can be proud of too. So I just really like, that portion. And because I worked in TV and I've been on a lot of projects where a lot of people in high positions are bullies. And they use a lot of negative reinforcement, and you have a lot of people in entertainment who are burnt out. I love that when people work on my projects, it's like, yo, I had so much fun. When is the next time we're going to do this? Because that's what it's about. So my journey to veganism, and I tell people all the time, it was for purely superficial reasons, like everyone who has I went vegan to save the environment or to save the animals. No, I went vegan because I saw a woman who was like 60 years old wearing booty shorts and a tank top, and she looked phenomenal. And I was like, whoa, I want that body when I'm her age. And I asked her what her habits were. So she told me that she was vegan and 70% raw. So then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna try this vegan situation. And when I tried it, a lot of the health battles that I was going through that I thought were just a part of growing pains started clearing up. You know, the acne that I was really insecure about started clearing up. My digestion started working in a way that was smoother than ever, you know, TMI, but it's what happened. And so then I was just like, wow, there's something more to plant-based eating than just being able to wear these booty shorts. And so I started reading up on it. And that's where I started learning about, you know, the animal rights portion and the health portion and the environmental portion and the spiritual portion. So then my motivation just shifted. So I came up with the idea for Invisible Vegan because I was flirting with veganism. And then when I was telling all of my Black friends about it, they were all like, oh, you moved to LA, because I'm originally from DC. They're like, oh, you moved to LA and you're on this white people stuff. And I was just like, why do they keep racializing, you know, food choices? Like, that's absurd. But then I started watching a lot of the vegan documentaries that I love. You know, I started going down the rabbit hole of Vegucated Food and Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead, and I loved them. But then as a collective, I was just like, oh, I see why people think this is a white thing, because a lot of the media surrounding this subject is catered to white people. You see in all the, you know, a lot of the central characters in these films, they're all white. You know, most of the experts are white. And it's just done in a way that appeals to the same group of people. So I just decided, hey, you know what? Let me be the change I want to see in the world. So The Invisible Vegan is a documentary that kind of dispels a lot of the myths associated with African American foodways, pointing out that the way we eat is not monolithic. You have people who follow vegetarian diets, pescatarian diets, the same way, you know, someone of other races might follow different diets. And it breaks a lot of the stereotypes associated with veganism to kind of promote the diet, but do it in a way that's not elitist and offensive, and kind of pointing out to the vegan community as well, like, hey, here are some of the missteps, the racial missteps that, you know, this community is taking when trying to advertise this diet to African American communities. Relatability. I made sure that my film was very relatable to people who weren't vegan, because in the vegan movement, you kind of see this echo chamber thing happening where a lot of them will say great things that appeal to other vegans. But you have to say things, if you want to make change, you have to say things that appeal to people who aren't vegan. And in order to do that, you have to know where they come from. So in my documentary, some of the people in the documentary aren't vegan. And some people kind of criticize that, like, wait, you have this person in there that's not vegan. I'm like, but that person explained how non-vegans feel when you do certain things. So there's a lot to be learned from the opposition. And I think that's where my film succeeded in relatability. I have never been afraid to be who I am, for the most part. You know, there's 10% of my life where it's just like, okay, ain't nobody finding out about that. But for the rest, like, I'm an open book. And even things like in the film, you know, I talk about, you know, my hemorrhoids, I talk about my vaginal infections, and some people might say, ew, gross. And I would say, no, normal and human. And we need to start talking about this so other people who might be battling with it, they'll know what it is, they'll recognize it, and I might help them, you know, find ways that they can remedy their situation, because it might be, you know, I didn't know, but it was what I was eating. goes into creating a film independently. Blood, sweat, and tears. It's so much that you have to do. It took me years to accomplish it. And because I didn't have the manpower that I needed, I had to do a lot of the jobs myself. And so think about the last movie you've seen, look at the credits, and think about doing most of that stuff yourself. So doing 100, 200, 300 jobs. And even beyond just creating the film itself, which is, doing the research to find all the interview topics, flying to A, B, and C to shoot these different interviews, organizing the footage, getting someone to edit it, even beyond just the creation of the film, having to create a social platform for the film, having to run a fundraising campaign for the film, having to do, PR for the film. So I think a lot of those things that I didn't even think about before going into the film, I had to learn. Like I had to learn how to build a social media platform. I had to learn how to create a fundraising campaign. So it's cool because you get to learn a lot as you go. So when I completed the film, it's crazy because I remember crying when I first saw the film because I thought it was awful. And it was right before my first screening. And then my friends were like, all right, let's watch it. Let's see what we can try to fix at the last minute. And while I'm watching the worst film ever, they are looking at it like, girl, this is great. They loved it. And I was just like, really? And they're like, yeah. And, because I work professionally in film and because I had to cut corners due to I didn't have, a studio budget, I can see all the technical things wrong with my film, from the audio, from the lighting, from this angle wasn't the greatest, so this shot is soft. I guess other people weren't looking at it because the content held up, so you always want to make sure like the idea and the concept is great, and the story is great. And I think that's what happened with my film. And I just didn't expect, I knew I was creating something and but I wasn't really doing it for other people. I was doing it for myself. So now when I have people reaching out to me from China, from Korea, people flying me, out to Paris and London, it was kind of insane that my work touched people all over the world. It's a really, I can't even explain the feeling, very endearing, and, it makes me proud. So I am so I'm always on the path to learn more. So with this vegan journey, this put me in the food space. So I'm learning a lot about food. And now that I advocate for food in a certain diet, I want to make sure that I'm doing it as responsibly as possible. So now I'm actually creating kind of not a follow-up documentary, but another documentary on food where I'm talking about eating disorders, but not in the traditional sense, because we always see like the emaciated anorexic girl, but there are girls like me that look healthy, that are throwing up their food or binge eating, or they have OCD with their vegan or pescatarian or keto diets. So something where I'm also, talking about people's relationship with food and why it's important for us to start paying attention to those relationships. I'm very interested in the food system. But I am interested, but I also want to delve into other topics. My main thing is I want to create films that somehow, some way helps some group of people. So, last year I did a short film, which was supposed to do the film festival circuit this year, but looks like festivals aren't really a thing anymore. But, that film was about a woman with disabilities and how, she wants to break it in, make it in Hollywood, and how people don't see past her disability. So whatever I do, whatever I put my name on, I want it to matter and I want it to help people. If you have an interest in directing and you have a smartphone, there is no reason why you should not have something directed, whatever you want to do. And that goes for anything. If you want to direct, produce, edit, act, and you have a smartphone, you have the capabilities to shoot your own stuff. So start making your own content. Even if it doesn't look, professional, it might still have a charm that resonates, and it might be a great idea that you can build upon later or show someone and they can see the vision. So that's my thing. Don't walk around saying that you want to do something. Be doing it and be honing the craft. So when you meet someone that can help you, you can say, look at all these things that I've done. Look at my growth over the years. So just be ready for when that chance comes. My big dream now, after working in, entertainment for over a decade, my big dream has nothing to do with anything career related. My big dream is happiness. It is making sure that whatever job I take, it is not about money, it's about peace of mind. And whatever I put my energy into, it's not, a bunch of busy work or I have to do this to be successful. It's like, no, I'm going to be successful with or without an Oscar, with or without $1 million. But I just want to be happy. And whatever journey I'm on, just enjoying that journey. So that's my goal.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.